Alright, shalom everybody. Most Christ bless you. I really don't want to make this long, so let's just jump right into it. Uh, so first thing you want to do is open a new file, and just for the sake of showing, so we opened up a new file. Now, the second thing we want to do before we start is go to project settings. So as you see, file, project settings. And here is the first thing we're going to change. We're going to change this to HDTV ADP because that's the only settings that on here that conform to other, standard videos. We're going to have the frame rate at 30. Jeez, these messages. Alright, so we're going to start the frame rate at 30, but we are going to change that little pen setting right there. You see stroke style, it should go from normal to pen. I forgot to do that, to show that in here, but I'm adding it in. So just make sure on the right you'll see file style, fill style, stroke style, large layer style. So then you put stroke style from normal to pen. Shalom Israel, Most High Christ bless you. So first thing we're going to do is upload our image, whatever character you're going to use. I'm going to use Moses. If you don't know how to zoom in, use the tracking ball on your mouse. It zooms in and zooms out. Another thing is that the first thing we're going to do now, once we adjust our image, is we're going to go to Anime Studio Pro. We're going to go to Preferences. Some of you might have it under Edit and then Preferences, but we're going to check on the options. We don't want everything should stay the same except for consolidate all channels. That shouldn't be checked. Everything else should that doesn't matter, just stay the same. So now the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to go over all the way to the right. We're going to create a bone that's going to allow the movement. So this, I like to categorize mine, so make sure you keep it on the top behind your character image all the way in the back. Make sure that your width of your strokes are at 1 because we don't really want thick lines strokes on our images. And then we're going to come over again and make a vector. We're going to name that vector. We're going to put it right under the bone, and we're going to name that vector. The reason why it needs to be directly grouped onto the bone is because it's going to come in handy later when we're trying to make movements. The options, we're going to choose our colors now before we start doing shapes and stuff, just because it's annoying to go back and change it, which you will have to eventually, but you save yourself some time. So you choose the color. I'm gonna go with a little, not too dark, because I want the options of light, dark, mediums, and then the stroke is obviously going to be black. So this is how we start. You go all the way to the left and you see I hit that little shape button. We're going to start with a simple shape for his face. And that's what I name my layer. And then we go to the other, well, and it's highlighted, it's like a bent line. And this adds points, vector points. And here's a close-up so you'd see what I'm doing. I'm adding points along the stroke line. If I'm going too fast, just rewind. I just didn't want to take too much time. And now we're gonna go back all the way to the left, or to the right, and make it invisible. Only because we want to see where we're tracing here, so we want to see where we have to put the lines. We go back, hit the little cross sign, and then we start dragging the points where we need them to be. Now for the face, it's gonna be behind the hair, so that's why as you can see, I'm not being specific, just because no one's gonna see what's behind the beard. The only time we're gonna have to focus on that is when we do the Egyptian version of Moses. But even then, I do it like this too, is so when you do the color, there's no risk of the color, the whole layer not being colored in. But then, if you want to skip ahead, this is just to give you an idea of me editing it and you see me shaping. The next one where I'm going to start talking again and explaining is when I start doing the top of the hair. So you can skip ahead for that. All right, so as you can see, we're done with that. So, um, yeah, it's a nice color. Now we're gonna add another one, and it's gonna be a vector, another layer. It's gonna be called that vector. But this one I'm gonna put the front because as you can see, there's his hair and then there's his ponytail. So we're gonna put this layer on top of the face because it's gonna cover the face. We're gonna go back. We're gonna make the same thing all over again. We're gonna make the shape. This one we're gonna make a darker brown, an even darker brown. So be careful when you choose your colors and your color scheme because that's important. So you don't get confused. You don't have to go back later. Oh, lighter color versions of the color, darker versions of the color, etc., etc. So just give it an overall size of the image. And here I made it invisible again. In order to, I don't know if I explained it before, but in order to make it invisible or see-through, is you have to hit the little eyes on your layers all the way to the right. So now I'm dragging it to the point. And now for these curves, just so you're not breaking your skull and how to make them appropriately, it's best to just add a lot of these little vector points at the end of the curve and then middle of the curve. So it gives you that good curve because or else you're going to be ripping your hair out. Yeah, trust me. I've already done a lot of the hair ripping for you. um, And don't worry that it's not perfect. Don't worry about that because we're gonna use a different tool later to fix that. Alright, so we're just about finished here. So now I clicked on the eyes all the way to the right. And yes, you can see that the face layer is hidden behind the hair. So it's really doesn't matter what the shape of the head is. Um, and now I went all the way to the left, and you see the little this curved icon that lets me make those points, those lines more curvy or less curvy. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm touching his hair up to match the drawing, the original drawing. And as you can see, if you notice closely, there is a slight um, discrepancy with the art, but we're gonna fix that with the face layer and the hair layer. But not, I'm just gonna move things around here. All right. So I skipped ahead and because I don't want to bore you to death, and I did the beard. So now the reason why I'm bringing this up is because as you can see right there, you see those lines. They don't really exist. It doesn't look natural. It looks, you can tell it was two different pieces. So what do we do about that? You can't just delete the line, but as here's another tool all the way to the left. Um, if you any vector that any little point that you click, the line to the right of it will go invisible. So now I'm going to click off here, and then as you can see, the lines are gone, and it didn't disrupt the layer, didn't do anything. It just made it invisible, so it looks natural. That's going to be important when you're doing a lot of the face features, like those lines and those wrinkles. You can just draw a line and then actually, I should be showing that later. Oh, as a matter of fact, here, you see how I'm drawing the line, and then I'm using the paint bucket to give the stroke color. You do the same thing with the face features. All right. So this is just a quick part one. I went pretty fast, but just keep on looking at it. Rewind. Shalom. All right, shalom, everybody.